This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. At least 2 women suffered medical emergencies as a result of abortion bans in Georgia and died as a result. And the blood of their death is on the hands of Donald Trump, Governor Kemp, MAGA, and the United States Supreme Court that ripped away 2 years ago a woman's right to choose, a woman's right to have bodily autonomy and rights over her own reproductive health. And now we've got at least 2. And if we have 2, unfortunately, we have hundreds more. Let's talk about Nicole Thurman and Candi Miller and say their names. And Kamala Harris, who's running for the presidency, is taking it to Donald Trump on this issue in Georgia over the death of these 2 poor young women because as a direct result of that abortion policy. Now, Let's start with what happened, then I'll tell you what the governor said at the time he signed his abortion ban of 6 weeks happened and why we're talking about this. And I'm telling you straight, if these 2 women died, their tragic deaths, they're not the only ones in America now that effectively in 22 states, not only is an abortion or participating in abortion or facilitating an abortion a felony, but so is routine sexual health and reproductive health procedures like DNCs. If these women had been given DNCs, they would not have died. Don't believe me. Believe the Georgia Maternity Mortality Committee that evaluated and said both those deaths were preventable. How did we get here? You have Georgia and the governor on the heels of the Dobbs decision written by Sam Alito and led by the MAGA right wing of the court, including the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, ripping away for the first time a constitutional right that women had had for over 50 years. We're now back to back alleys, and we're now back to coat hangers at this point, or a version of it. That law passed. There's lawsuits over it. Governor Kemp wants that 6-week ban. He says it's to protect women. It's to protect mothers. It's to protect the health of the baby. It's all a lie. He said in a press conference, I'm going to run the clip right now. He said in a press conference back in July of 2022 that he was overjoyed that his new abortion ban would be put in place to protect women as well. Governor Kemp didn't protect 2 of his own residents. He didn't protect Amber Thurman. He didn't protect Candi Miller because they're no longer here. And their children, they had children. Their children are left motherless as a result. Let's run the clip of Governor Kemp just right after he was celebrating the passage of a 6-week ban and also that it was going to protect the lives of even mothers. Tell that to the children that remain, the surviving children of Amber Thurman and Candi Miller. Roll the clip.
All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Since taking office in 2019, our family has committed to serving Georgia in a way that cherishes and values each and every human being. And today's decision by the 11th Circuit affirms our promise to protect life at all stages. We have worked hard to increase supportive services for mothers and their children before, during, and after birth. Working with the Georgia General Assembly, we have made significant strides on several fronts, such as expanding pregnancy and parental resources, extending health coverage to a full year for mothers after birth, improving the adoption system, and reforming foster care. And the First Lady and our girls have tackled combating human trafficking head on. We will continue this important work in the days and months to come. We are overjoyed that the court has paved the way for the implementation of Georgia's Life Act. And as mothers navigate pregnancy, birth, parenthood, or alternative options to parenthood, like adoption, Georgia's public, private, and nonprofit sectors stand ready to provide the resources they need to be safe, healthy, and informed. Thank you all very much.
Okay, how do we get here? So, let's start with the Pro Publica reporting about Nicole Thurman, 28 years old, a medical assistant, wanted to become a nurse, already had children, was found out she was pregnant with twins, decided that she wanted to get an abortion. She couldn't fit, the law had just passed, the ban had just passed in Georgia, so she, along with thousands of other women, flooded the roads of Highway 95 and Highway 85 to make their way to North Carolina. North Carolina, another battleground state that's on the ballot this coming November, to get the abortion or the DNC that she wanted. as a first-class citizen in America with rights over her own body. Unfortunately, the roads to the North Carolina abortion clinic were packed with throngs of women trying to leave their own states of one of the 22 that had banned abortion and get to North Carolina for the desperate care that they needed. And she was going to lose her slot. They were only going to hold it for 15 minutes at the North Carolina abortion clinic, this based on Pro Publica reporting of her surviving family. And so they turned back. And instead, Ms. Thurman, a mother of already a child who's now motherless, decided to use medicated abortion pills, mifepristone and the cocktail there. She had a rare complication related to her use of those pills, and she did not expel all of her fetal tissue, which can lead to sepsis and death, which is what happened in this case. But all Georgia doctors needed to do was to give her a timely D&C procedure. Right? If they gave her a timely D&C procedure, short for dilation and curettage, she'd be alive today. That would have removed and expelled the remaining fetal tissue. Instead, she developed sepsis and died during emergency surgery, leaving basically an orphan. She was a single mother of her remaining child. But she's not the only one. Pro Publica also reports about Candi Miller. Candi Miller's story is different, but just as heartbreaking. She had children also surviving her. She was a very unwell woman. She had diabetes. She had lupus. She was told by her healthcare professionals that another pregnancy and carrying it to term could kill her. Sounds like all of the medical exceptions that right-wing MAGA claim exist within their laws. But Candi Miller, also coming from a religious family, was embarrassed by it, didn't know what to do about it, and did not want to go to an abortion clinic and be rejected because her state, Georgia, with Governor Kemp, you just heard of, put the ban on the books. So she decided to use the FDA-approved medicated abortion pills as well. Similar complication, fetal tissue not properly expelled. All she needed, again, was a simple routine procedure that's available in almost 30 states, a D&C, to remove the fetal tissue and avoid death. That didn't happen, and she died. And I assure you, unfortunately, those are not the only two. They're just the two we know the names of right now in Georgia. Kamala Harris is coming out strong, as she should, as an advocate for women, as an advocate for people who support women, as an advocate for people who believe that a woman should be a first-class citizen and not a second-class citizen. I have a sign in my office, in my home office, that I picked up. It's a lithograph from the women's suffrage movement. And it has a woman carrying a baby, and it says, "Give women the right to vote. They bring all voters into this world. Give women first-class citizenship and allow them to continue to have bodily autonomy and reproductive rights and not have it judged by somebody like Governor Kemp, Trump, and MAGA." That's what I say. Now, this story is also personal to me. And I've been public about this in the past. When I was in high school, I had a situation where we had to use abortion services. It was a 16-year-old decision that I made in consultation with my family and that of the person that I was with, and we together decided that that was the right course of action. I think about that moment all the time, but I am also blessed. As is the person that was in that situation with me, that we had the rights in New Jersey to be able to have the woman exercise her reproductive rights and her rights of bodily autonomy and integrity. And that's what we decided to do. And even more recently, even though we have a beautiful new daughter, my wife and I, my wife just gave birth in June, we had a situation in using IVF earlier, in which my wife needed a D&C, which she got in New York, and then was around for us through natural methods to have our daughter. So I'm not here reporting about my wife's passing because she couldn't get the medical care she needed because we happen to live in a state that recognizes a woman's first-class position. So I am tired of the fake canard arguments, the phony arguments of MAGA and Republicans, that they're for women, that they're for IVF while they're running bans on IVF as bills in the Senate, in the U.S. Senate, While Donald Trump doesn't seem to understand what IVF is, and they go after and attack Tim Walz and his wife for using reproductive scientific assistance for their children. I don't know if it was IVF, but it was something similar to it. Might as well be. And at the same time saying they're protecting the life of the mother. They're not. They're not. They're shoving down our throats and in other body parts for women their religious doctrine. And it's killing women. As we've said before on Legal AF, and I had Robbie Kaplan on the show on the day the Dobbs decision was leaked back in March 2 years ago, written by Sam Alito. And she said very poignantly that this, and really sunk my heart at the moment, that this was the first time that a constitutional right that was granted and recognized by the United States Supreme Court was ripped away from a person or a group of people when they, in the Dobbs decision, took away Roe versus Wade and the constitutional right of a woman to choose, leaving it to the states. And then you hear Donald Trump on the debate stage, whatever that was supposed to be, 26 minutes in, he's talking about dogs and cats being eaten by legal immigrants to this country who are just working their asses off in Springfield, Ohio for our economy, okay? And then when it got to the point about abortion, he said, I just did the thing that everybody wanted on both sides of the aisle, including liberals and Democrats. I turned it over to the states. That's all I did. That's what I wanted to do. And all of those justices had courage to do that. He's doubling down. He is embracing, he is endorsing the fact that he put on enough right-wing Supreme Court justices that they finally got what they wanted after 50 years, which is to reverse Roe versus Wade and take away a woman's right to choose. Turning it over to the states just meant what just happened. 22 states ban it, making it a felony for doctors, and women are now too scared in those states to even figure out whether they fit within an exception. And by the time they get to the medical emergency exception, some of them it's too late. And that's what we just saw with Thurman and Miller. The two women who have died, leaving now having motherless children in their wake. And whose fault is that? Governor Kemp? MAGA? Sam Alito, and the others who joined him to take away a woman's right to choose on the United States Supreme Court. And ultimately, Donald Trump, who still crows and brags about what he's done for women because he's allowed state by state to tear this country apart and create a civil war where women have to travel outside of certain territories in order to get reproductive and medical assistance. When we first started talking about this 2 years ago, it sounded like a long-lost episode of Handmaid's Tale. They have to go to a different territory. They have to get on the road like Ms. Thurman, with other women, thousands of women trying to get to a North Carolina clinic on time. That's what we're down to. I mean, I got to follow this stuff. We do it right here on the new Legal AF YouTube channel. Free subscribe. You'll get more of this content. We're going to be doing 3, 4, 5 videos a day in collaboration with the Midas Touch Network. I'll curate them. I'll bring it to you at the intersection of law and politics with the analysis and commentary you've come to expect. Find out what 40 million people already know a month. That Legal AF is the home of law and politics, commentary and analysis like no other in the YouTube universe. I defy you to find a channel that is like ours and delivers it to you consistently the way we do. So this is Michael Popok. Until my next hot take, here and on the Midas Touch Network. Until my next podcast, Legal AF, on Wednesdays and Saturdays on the Midas Touch Network YouTube channel and anywhere you get your podcast from. And until my next exclusive content for this new Legal AF YouTube channel where you can free subscribe and help us build this pro-democracy network from the ground up by just hitting the subscribe button and help us get to 100,000 subscribers before Halloween. So until my next hot take and all of that, this is Michael Popok reporting. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.